Hey everybody, welcome to Jerry's Live. As always, I'm your host, Amy Gardner-Dean. In today's episode, we are going to be exploring sculpture supplies. The episode number is JL169. So if you're interested in any of the things that you see today, you type that handy dandy little keyword, JL169, in the search box at jerrysartarama.com. We'll pull up the list of things we've got going on. Now, we've got a special announcement to make as we kind of work through the show, so we'll get to that in a few minutes. I think because we'll probably end up talking about that a little, I don't even know, I guess maybe take questions, I don't know. We're going to, this was going to be a little much going on all at one time, and then to compound that, I have been birthing puppies since last night at 9 o'clock. The dog went into labor, and I got in the car and drove here at 4:30. So I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed because I had a 20-minute nap. So anywho, everybody's fine. Puppies and mom are fine. 10 little bouncy, happy rainbow pointer puppies. But it makes more sense now to break this into two parts, because then we can really get into, we'll talk about the armatures today, but how do you actually pack an armature with clay? What do you do when you've got that? What are armatures for versus making something that's freestanding just with clay that you might fire in a kiln, because these are not going to do that. So we'll talk about the supplies today, and then I think we'll do a part 2 at the beginning of November, where we actually go from there and talk about those things and even talk about how to make molds off of armatures. So anyway, so let's get started, and then we'll make our special, awesomely cool announcement after that. So we've got a bunch of different Creative Mark sculpture supplies, and I do need that list, Katie, because that has the list of how I was going to go through those.
I'm getting it right now.
That's fine. It's because I'm a zombie. So I'll start. I think we had the armatures first. So essentially, an armature is something that you are making a skeleton or a framework, if you will, for some sort of sculpture, whether it's, these are for portrait heads. So if you're doing a full figure head, this is what you're going to use as kind of your foundation. You're going to want to customize that, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. You can have a figure one like this guy here that just basically looks like a Gumby, a little aluminum Gumby, until you start packing the clay on. Clay is inevitably much heavier than you realize until you go to pick it up, which Will and Katie found a little bit ago when we were moving around some of the big 25-pound bags of clay, which I know we don't have on our website. We do have in our retail stores. There's a method to that madness, because the shipping for clay is more than the price of clay. So it wouldn't behoove you to buy it mail order unless you're buying it in bulk, where then that's saving you on bulk shipping. It's usually better to get that kind of stuff at your local Jerry's. If you don't have a Jerry's, which some people don't, and I'm sorry, that's sad for you. We're working on that. But to get it at even like a place that does greenware, slipware, stuff like that, for ceramics, they will have different types of firing clay that you can get to work on armatures. Now there's two types. You can use this, which is a clay that will fire. You are never going to fire it with this in it, because that will explode and cause a nightmare. But it's good for making a mold that you can cast, reusing the clay on something else. You can use that over and over and over. Again, you can even rehydrate it if it gets too dry. So that's a choice. Also, things like plastilina are fantastic. Now, the difference between this and a regular traditional earth clay, this actually is mined from the earth. This is an oil-based clay that's either got some sort of pigment in it. This has kind of a terracotta. This actually isn't plaster. It is a white plastilina. Never dries. So you can have this open in your studio an endless amount of time. It might get stiff over time, but you'll still be able to rework it. You don't have to cover it. that's another beauty of, thank you very much, Katie. Sorry about that. That's another beauty of the plastilina is that other than if you want to put, I had a Jerry's bag just over it as a dust cover because the weather's nice. We got windows open, breeze blows through. You get a little bit of ragweed. So that just keeps the dust from being on it, but it's still workable. So, and then if you like more the traditional, you know, clay color, you can get that. But where these guys are, you know, can be done with either that or the traditional earth clay. So let's talk about these. Now, this I have customized, which I highly recommend. When you get something like this, when you order it, it's going to come in a little box kit, flat, like a little rug beater, right? It's going to have your Formica top that the wood part's just going to screw in. Super easy peasy. Might have to make up a little song to go along with it while you do that. And then you're going to kind of open that up to however, you know, you want your head to be. One side will fit inside the other. And then it will fit in there, okay? These are designed to fit super tight. And remember that wood expands and contracts. So you might get one that's a little too small because it's humid. And the ones that I got, we'd had those days where it was like in the 90% humidity when I got them. So the hole was a little small. Because this is a bendable, malleable metal, you don't want to put that down in there and then take a mallet and bang it in, because what is that going to do? So you're going to want to just get a drill or something, make it slightly larger. Think about that you want it down so you've got a good couple inches in there. And then I would take, if you know that this is something you're going to use and not need to take apart for storage, some Gorilla Glue or something that is a waterproof glue, put it down in there, because I am here to tell you in a sculpture class once, somebody had their thing, and I'll do it with this one. They lifted it up and they talked to somebody and did this. Usually you have 25 pounds or more of clay on a full figure life-size head that you do from a model, and that thing was not in there, and it went split on the floor. An entire semester project that was like 2 weeks from being cast in a waste mold just absolutely obliterated. It looked like, I don't even know, a Cadbury egg that got dropped from a very high height. It was horrible. So I recommend always securing them. Now you can see there's a color difference between this and this. If you are using an earth-based clay that you're going to have to moisten and keep moistening, when you get done working, you're going to want to take just use an old household towel, like when the dog like chews an end, frays an end, they just start getting old, that does not have like a dyed color. Rinse it, wring it out. You're going to put it around that head. This is going to be placed in a garbage bag. It's a very heavy duty, like a 3 mil garbage bag. You pull it up over it, tie it in a knot, and that keeps it moist. Aqua mist bottles, where it's perfect for misting your clay.
So satisfying.
When it starts getting dry, you can start feeling that kind of dryness on the head. It's ideal to do. Now, why? Okay, so that is irrelevant from why is this color different, right? This is a deck sealer on the edges and on the wood. And the reason is, and back in the old days, we used to use shellac, and actually that's what I would have used when I went to the store, except shellac has gotten really crazy expensive and I'm cheap. And I was like, what else is going to waterproof this as good as shellac? And it's just kind of that weird orange color that's just not that, I mean, it's fine, it's just your armature, but so they have these beautiful wood stains that waterproof it, but that are a color. Okay, and so, which that didn't seem like the best idea, and I just wanted it to look like shellac, but when you've got this type of board to it, it's good to have this color because you make sure that you're sealing it completely, right? And the only reason they do that with the chipboard is because this would be ridiculously heavy if it was wood, and it would do what? It would warp. So you want it to be this kind of composite chipboard. You seal it, then it's waterproof. Then when you're putting it in and out of your bag or just carrying it around in your bag or whatever, it is waterproofed. This isn't going to rot or start molding and mildewing and doing all that really gross stuff. You can see with mine, I like it to be really a clean stain, so I put a little bit of painter's tape on it. On the sides, I actually went over just a little bit because I would rather have it sealed and not look as clean. And I also use this because I always use terracotta, and I was like, hey, look, it's going to match the sculpture. So, see what I did there, Katie? Matchy, matchy.
Matchy, matchy. I like it.
So that's going to be kind of what you're going to be getting when you get these kits. Now, going from there, Creative Mark does not know what kind of sculpture you're going to be doing. Only you do, which is fine. But us customizing a armature head takes like a lot of man hours, and it's not cost effective for you, the purchaser, and it's not really like a plausible thing because you may be doing something where you're, think of people that do the masks, right? The Halloween masks or the film stuff that need to have an armature, that maybe it's a snake person and it's got big, you know, like a cobra head to it or whatever. You are going to actually be able to take other armature wire that's smaller gauge. That's where these come in. People are like, what's that for? Ta-da! Here you go. And you're going to, number one, you can see it on this one where it's been wrapped right there. You're going to want to wrap that in spirals around this to get that to hold on nice and tight, because this is a lot of heavy weight to just be putting on this, right? So if you're doing the Cobra Gill guy with the hood, you will want to take some extra wire and make some stuff that comes out. If you're using something super heavy, like using this earth clay and you're making a life-size person, it's always a good idea to put a little kind of wood cross here, dangled down. That will help hold this in the middle while you're packing clay, so that as you're packing it with a tool, it's not just pushing it right back out because there's nothing to hold onto it there. Okay, so these are great ways to customize this for your specific needs. There's a lot of different sculpture books out there that help, that are out there, and I'm sure there's so much stuff on YouTube now for how to customize armatures, but it's super simple, easy. Just think about a little bit of extra reinforcement to hold that heavy weight of the clay and keep it from shrinking down, okay? So that's what's good with this, and then we'll take this on the next episode and we'll talk about how you pack this. I'll have it all customized and I'll explain to you how I did it, and then how you pack it, and then how you work on it from there, okay? So then we've got, oh, and then you can also make your own custom armature. Maybe this doesn't work for you. Maybe you want it to be larger than life size. They make just the specific armature wire that is here. So you can make your own custom one. You can make it on a different type of base if you want. You can make it, you know, like a bigger armature for an animal or something like that. Handy dandy wire, super inexpensive. Good stuff. Okay. So then the person. It's like a little Gumby wire man. He's got feet. He's apparently resting. So you can tell I'm really slap happy, and I'm so sorry. I'm going to apologize now. Okay, they don't know how you're going to make your guy. They don't know if you're going to have him jumping in midair. They don't know if, like with this, where he's standing kind of in a pose where it's got the classical like weight on one leg and the, you know,
it's a very classic
typical pose you do in class. A, because you can hold it for a long time, and B, because you can hold it for a long time. So this is just going to spin on there, and I guess I'm not going to do it, well, it's easier to do it with, it's not on here, because then you're not trying to
spin
to do it in the, with the thing.
Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, right? and I can't tell if it's this way or that. You know what? These glasses do not have a reading glasses insert in them. So it's like, there we go.
Was it there?
No, it's there. Okay. Okay. And Will, you had this on here and I took it off. I know, and I can't see. If I hold it way out here. All right, this goes on here, but without reading glasses. I put this one together. Ta-da! Okay, notice I did not stain this with the deck stain, right? Why is that? Because I'm using this oil-based clay, so there's no reason to do that. I don't have to cover this. I don't have to spray it down. It's not going to have to get wet. It's fine to be like this in my studio. Now, when you're doing this, there's like a lot of extra arm and leg on this dude. This is not like 7.5 heads high, like you learn in sculpture class. Why is that? Because you may want to anchor the feet. Notice how I've anchored the feet. I bent them out. You may want to, because you can't just make the wire go like this at a side because it's going to keep moving like this. So you actually put the wire down, you wrap it around the leg, you hold it on there so that your sculpture stays nice and cohesive. So when you go to do a cast from this, if you want, this little guy is not going to be moving all around inside the clay. Okay, so it seems like a weird little guy. It's not been built out for the shoulders. I built mine out for shoulders. I built mine out for a pelvis. This obviously, nobody's got a Gumby pelvis that we know. So I made it come out. That also helps with that leg length. There's extra to be able to kind of make it come out like that. So it's giving you extra wire to do the things you need to do. You can always trim it off, okay? So this is actually a really nice, this is nicer than the ones we had in school for this thing with this aluminum like this, because that's not going to rust. I mean, that's a solid piece of aluminum there. And you can make it go up or down, so he could be jumping in the air, he could be sitting, he could do whatever you want him to do by adjusting that height. And there's 2 different sizes of that. And with those portrait heads, there's 3 different sizes. So you can do a very small one, smaller one, kind of a mid-sized one, and then you can do like the full figure head. Okay? So those are kind of cool. And I kind of like this little guy. Looks very serious, modelly. Turntable. These are super inexpensive, but something that's so handy to have, especially if you don't have a large work area to be able to keep kind of moving it around. You can move it and work on this part, and then move it and work on this part. Those are handy little gizmos, and it's like a molded plastic, but it's heavy duty. So this will hold this heavier weight as more and more clay goes on that. And right now, this guy is almost a whole one of these blocks. Doesn't look like it with him spaced out,
Really?
but that's almost a whole one of the plastilina blocks. Because I packed the thing really tight so that then it's not kind of mushing and folding and stuff like that. So,
That's crazy.
fun way to make a little guy. Now, we'll talk about this more when we talk about how you make a mold from these. Because again, these are not going to be fired in a kiln. This will explode with the armature in it, okay? And it's not something where, okay, well, that's cool, I'll just take the armature out. That's never going to work. You're going to have to, like Indiana Jones archaeology with a little, you know, with the little dental tools, like scritchy scratch, to work that slowly out of there somehow to salvage that head. You're just not, it's not going to work. You need something different for that. So we'll talk about plaster, and then we'll also talk about rubber latex. This is something you can get. Yes.
Actually, question. Asking about that. They're asking if they're reusable.
Okay, so a waist mold is not, and we'll talk about that. What that is you would actually take your head, you would build plaster up around it, okay? You would pull those sides off of the clay, then you clean it. You actually take like a Murphy's oil soap or something like even which brush soap is that we've got? That's the Richardson's, the Jack's soap. That's that linseed soap. You could very gently brush that in. And what that does is that little bit of soap keeps plaster from bonding to plaster. Then you plaster the edges. You tie it up with a rope and kind of plaster those. Turn it upside down. You can cast hydrostone. You can cast plaster in it. Whatever. But the trick is, at one point, you have no more sculpture left. Because your head is gone. You've taken the clay and done something else with it. There's just that negative space in there. And it's called a waste mold. Why is that? Because you very carefully chip the plaster off of the mold, off of the plaster hydro cast head. So that's a single use thing. If you're really careful with the sculpture, other than probably your ears, you would be able to maybe reuse the head if you've let it dry long enough. But the chances are not good of that. I've seen a few people pull it out or take the ears and then make new ones. Second option, which I like much better, and it comes in a handy dandy reusable little thing, rather than the old way was you had to mix it like with the little scale with the little weights and do math, which is a 4-letter word, and then maybe you mix it wrong like Amy does, because math is not Amy's primary love and it is a 4-letter word. So they've got a mix for you. So you can just take this, you can actually smooth it on, you can build it up around the sculpture, you make a plaster mother mold on top of that, then you join those together after you pull the rubber off, put it back together, then you can make multiples of that. Depending on what you're casting, you can make lots of multiples if you're super duper careful. If you're in concrete and stuff like that, they maybe only last 5 or 6 uses if you're real careful with it, because concrete is so acidic, but other things you can probably go a lot further. I know I had one in college that was a starfish. I don't know why I made a starfish, but that's what I did. And I think probably made 30 or 40 with it, but it was small and it was super easy to pull off, and I was very careful with it, and I always coated it with something to make the removal easy. So, but that's a fantastic way of making multiples that will last a long time, and especially if you've got a sculpture that you do and everybody loves it and everybody wants it, and you don't just want to fire it. If you make it out of clay, not in an armature, you can make multiples of it and cast them in different things and be able to sell an edition of them. So it's a great thing because you don't have to math. Okay, then we've got oh, this was the little baby head. He's so cute. So isn't that cute? It reminds me of the little, like, African ebony heads that you see in the museum. It's like that perfect size for that.
Do they come in 2 sizes?
3.
Oh.
There's a medium.
Ah.
I'm not sure what you use that for. Like, doll, baby, adult, I don't know. Just, you know, where you don't want to use as much clay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably people that do doll heads that way and then cast them, so not gonna knock it. They're making a living, so. All right, then next, mesh rolls. Now, these can actually be used for sculpture if you like. I would advise you to wear gloves, because these edges are, to make them nice and crisp and clean, razor sharp. So I'm gonna handle them very carefully, because I'm known for slicing myself up with this, and I'm not functioning on all cylinders to start with, so we're going to be really careful. We will do some more work with that next time. There's different gauges. There's a super fine gauge. There is a medium gauge. There is a super heavy duty gauge, and then one even further than that I know I will cut myself on, so I did not even get it out. Now, what you can do with these, you can make an armature with these. Still, it's not going to be able to be fired, but like if you want to do plaster bandage over it and then plaster, what that's doing is it's sealing this, and then you can make a hard form over the outside. You could do plaster on top of plaster bandage. You could even do some of the air drying clays, would work well because there's minimal shrinkage with those. You would not want to use this with this type of clay, because this would, there would be so much air with this in between, it would probably crack. So, but these are really cool. This type of little kid back here, right? Did you guys use mesh at all with that, Katie?
I want to say his head is.
It looked like it
Underneath, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
supported, it depends on which pieces, how much support it needed. I think his legs have some newspaper.
And you can see there's plaster bandage in this, right?
Yep.
So this was actually made from a kid?
Yes. He sat very still for
And
us
you
for a
thought
very
your
long
kids were not all that useful. Ta-da. So you just wrapped it with plaster bandage over clothes, let it dry, cut it, and carefully pulled it off, and then reassembled it and plastered over it. Really, I mean, plaster bandage, plaster cloth is so freaking cheap. This is going to be the cheapest sculpture material you can get. And you can get them in bulk boxes like this, which is, I think, 8. And then I think you can get them in gigantic monster bulk boxes, which I didn't have room for on the table, but they're there. So that's the kind of stuff where you can use, where even with, I mean, with an older child, you could use this. I think like upper elementary school, middle school age, you could even do like family fun art projects with this type of thing.
It's so user-friendly.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
So user-friendly, and it'll work great with these. Like, I saw somebody that had done, online, that had done like a sun for like their closed-in porch with the mesh, and then they went back over it with this and then carefully put plaster over it, and it looked like and painted it. I thought it was terracotta, and that's all it was. So it was super lightweight. You can move it around.
Yeah, that's the nice part.
It didn't have that freeze thaw like terracotta has, where it'll crack. So way more reasonable price-wise than that. So that's very cool and something that you can use with mesh, without. Okay. So modeling tools, and we'll talk more about these as we do the work. I looked at a bunch of them. Okay, so this seems excessive. If you're modeling a head or something like that, this is only, I think, $31 worth of tools at regular Jerry's price. Not on sale. They've got great features where some of them have, like, this even has like a cutting edge where it's serrated. Can you go to that side camera and I'll show some of these?
Picture.
Ta-da.
There you go.
Where you could actually use that not only just to kind of push and pull with this little tongue one. This is a perfect shape. But you can actually take that and you can, on an edge, scratch material away. Remove material super easily. It's nice. They have multiple sizes. I think this is the 6-inch tool. 8-inch tool. 8-inch tool. Very substantial. If you wanted to keep them like forever, you could oil them and then they would get this wonderful patina and niceness on it. And if you've got access to like a band sander, belt sander, you can customize the tips and make them like even like harder for sharper edges or more round and blunt. This is,
huh? I still have mine from college.
Yeah, I found mine the other day, that some of them that Riker didn't take, because I like the wire ones with the cutting edges on it. So it's got this perfect little edge, almost like a little sneaky snake that it kind of fits into like nostrils and things like that, like my ears. And then it's got a flat blade knife, which is great for doing some of those features as well. So it seems silly, like this is too many tools, but it's not, because each of them has a really important like tip end, and then the other one is super useful too. This is one of my favorite tools that I've got, and I don't think it's a Creative Mark, because I had it long before Creative Mark was, but they totally took the shape off of it, and I've made it like super flat, but it's like kind of a paddle on one side where it's got that, and then it's got like a little tongue groove kind of on the other side. And this is a nice this is actually a really nice strong hardwood version. That's number 1. Ta-da! Always number 1. So for a very reasonable price, you can have a whole bunch of different tools that'll help you with some of your modeling. So we'll go over those next time when we get into the sculpture. Do you think we want to do the special, or do we want to wait a little bit for the special announcement?
It's up to you.
We'll go a little bit longer.
It's just after 6 minutes.
Okay. Well, because we want to leave some, oh, we've almost hit everything. Okay. Well, okay, so clay modeling tools that are plastic, for budget conscious or children that can lose anything. These are nice little tools. They're perfect for littler hands. They're plastic, so they're super inexpensive, and they clean easier than wood. Clay kind of sits on wood. You have to like buff it or wash it. With these, it just rinses off super easy in a clay sink. Don't rinse it down your house sink. You do not want to do that with your clay. Clay gun set. It seems silly. We'll show it next time. It would make perfect hair and stuff for people this size, you know? Or even like mustaches or things like that if you're doing full figure. If you just want to make some interesting shapes. It's got, I don't even know how many heads. There's a lot of heads. 19 interchangeable discs in this little gizmo. So it's just, you put clay in to kind of work it until it's soft. You put it in there and then you can squirt out all sorts of different thicknesses and decorative shapes. So another fun thing that would go with little people modeling tools. It's like a little perfect set. Keep the kids busy while you're working on your stuff. So, all right. So I think that's it for this stuff. I say we talk about the special thing.
I have one question first.
Okay.
When you were talking about the molds and everything like that, somebody asked, I'm trying to find back and find her name, but she was asking if there are latex-free ones for people that are allergic to latex.
I would imagine not that you're going to be able to build up like that and that are going to dry. Now, that is me spitballing an answer because I've not seen it. That doesn't mean that maybe somebody doesn't make a silicone one. I know for if you're modeling super hard objects, they do make like a silicone putty that you can do and that dries. Remember when we did some of those little, Hannah Staten was on and we did like little jewelry and gems and pendants and stuff like that. She showed us some of those things, but they don't make it in like really large sizes. Now that's not saying they don't sell it to artists in industrial sizes. I don't know if, especially for this where it's very 3D, if you would get the perfect kind of imprint from, you know, image from your thing. I would be worried that there would be parts that you'd have like kind of as you push it and mush it together, because it's not that much like thicker than this plastilina, that it would, and how this is put on by hand, you see, turn to the side camera for a minute, just so they can see. If you're adding it by hand, you add like in little pieces and parts, right? So you can see that he's got little pieces and parts kind of just mushed on, kind of trying to follow like musculature and skeletal systems. But see how it's kind of clay lumpy gummy because you are just putting little pieces on and building it at a time. If you're taking something like that silicone and you're trying to push it around something to get the form perfect, I would think you're going to get not as lumpy as this, but there's going to be some like air pocket crossover. The thing I think that I would say would be Google that, because there's bound to be something.
Somebody had to have had the same problem.
Or if you don't have problems with it once it's molded, but it's while it's fresh, enlist a really cool friend that's good at making molds that doesn't have a latex allergy. And you're going to be wearing gloves and stuff like that. I don't think in all the times that I've made rubber molds that I've ever gotten it on me. So, but if you have an allergy, obviously you don't want to get it on you. So, but that's something where if you know you're not going to react to it when it's dry, maybe enlist some help. So, any other sculpture questions. Is there any, with these types of things that we just talked about, what things maybe has your mind's kind of been like, oh, think about that, that's cool. Where maybe, since we've got some time with November being the next episode, that you would like to see us do. I think a really important thing is showing how to pack an armature, because it should really be done a certain way or you can have some issues with it. And we'll do customizing and stuff. But if there's something else here, if you want to see some fun with plaster bandages, that could get kind of messy, but it might be kind of interesting. And the tool usage, like up close, I think that's a good one too, for kind of like how you actually use the tools. And I can tell I've been up. My hair is like terrifying. I did not even look. Sorry. Any other questions about the sculpture? Want to take a sip of coffee? I'm guessing now. I say we go to the exciting thing then. Okay, so every year Will and I have so much fun going to Art of the Carolinas and doing our kind of daily check-ins, and it's such a really cool, festive, awesome place to be as an artist, where you're meeting up with other people that have kind of those same drives and interests and like ideas that you can swap, and you're learning new techniques, and there's all these great bargains at the retail area. It's just like, it's kind of like Candyland for artists, don't you think, Katie? Mm-hmm. It's just a really fun, cool place. The vibe there is something that you don't get as an artist. You don't get other places. I mean, I can go to the museum and be like, woo, but not like Art of the Carolinas is very different. All those artist people are mostly dead, and so you're just like, woo, there's something they did. Where this is like got energy from live people. So, and we had to cancel that this year because of COVID. So, which is really frustrating, because so many people work so hard to put on the event, and there's so many techniques that you can go there, and in that short 4-day time, you can learn so many cool things that it's almost like, I mean, I've had a couple of people liken it to going to college to get a college art education that took like 5, 6, 7 classes. It was just stuff they really wanted to learn, stuff that you had an immediate expert there to teach you, which is awesome. So without that there, Jerry's really wanted to reach out and still be able to make some kind of offering for people that, and in some ways, this is kind of like the cool time to be an artist that maybe normally wouldn't be able to go to AOC, whether it's just that time off work, the travel, the, hotel, the food, all of those things that when you like go away to a destination place, even if you're learning art, still really adds up. So they actually decided that we're going to do a virtual AOC this year. And I think it's just this year only, right? It's like just a hi. I mean, who knows how long COVID would last? It's not like, it's not written in stone that this is going to be it forever ad infinitum,
We don't know anything right now.
So, that part didn't print off. Okay. Do you know the dates? That part didn't print off. I want to say it's the 9th through the 14th. Is that right? Thank you. All right. So, how they're going to do this is like, we've all been doing Zoom meetings. We've been forced into it. And if you haven't, bless you, you're so lucky, because it's just weird. It's weird, but it's also kind of cool, because you're like, I can actually be at my desk and I can have my things. And then you're at your desk, but we can still interact and do that. They're doing this where you can actually take workshops online at a much more reduced fee than what Art of the Carolinas would be, from a good chunk of the artists that we're going to be at AOC.
19 that are going to be here.
That's a lot.
19 that are going to be there.
So, 19 artists, November 9th through the 15th. Each day there are 9 total classes, 3-hour sessions. So it's not anything super long where it's a day-long workshop. So it's easier to take multiple things and learn some kind of new fun things and get ideas. 9 to 12, 1 to 4, 5 to 8 p.m. are the classes. So artofthecarolinas.com, www.artofthecarolinas.com is where you can always find our regular Art of the Carolinas. Well, they are going to be putting those classes up there soon and releasing them so people can start signing up for them if they would like. So, and we'll kind of keep people posted with Jerry's Live about kind of, hey, yay, it's up. Go ahead and, if you're interested, sign up. But it's a really cool way to do this, and they're limiting the classes. So it's not like they're not having 3,000 people in a Zoom class where you're not going to feel like you're getting the full experience of a class with somebody. So instructors, yours truly, Andrea Earhart, Audrey Coe, Brian Wilson, not the Beach Boy, Carol, very few, probably you did not even get that joke because you're so young. The rest of us old people did. Carol Rourke, Catherine Moore, Dan Nelson, Dave Kessler, Judy Ohl, Kathleen Reed, is it Ritz or Reitz? I don't know. Kimberly Maselli, Kim Minichalio, Lindsay Weirick, Lisa Boardwine, that's going to be a good class. Mike Rooney, even better. If you've never taken a Mike Rooney class or just sat and watched that man paint, it's brilliant. I can learn bundles from him sitting and watching him, and he's just a delightful person. So that would be a great class. Pamela Harnoy, Sergio Lopez, Sterling Edwards, and Trish McKinney. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
So those will be up soon, the November 9th through the 12th. So kind of at that same time, same virtual place as regular Art of the Carolinas. But it's a way that, like, if you've not gone because it's just a lot. It's a lot of time and effort and travel and everything else. This is a way to, like, super on the cheap, be able to take workshops, interact with these artists, and have a really awesome time.
We have a lot of people asking about if there'll be emails going out about it. If they go to the Art of the Carolinas website, they can sign up.
Can they sign up? Okay.
They should be able to sign up for the emails on there. But they also have an Art of the Carolinas Art of the Carolinas Facebook page that you can follow as well.
Yes, and Sharon posts a lot on that. She always does under normal non-COVID times. So, so it's kind of our way of giving you still to be able to get that kind of AOC experience, but on a very pocket-friendly price and in a safe way. We don't want to endanger people, but it's really cool when artists can kind of still get together and learn. So that's what we're going to do. So we will keep you guys posted on that. And thank you for the added insight on that.
We're trying.
All right, is there anything else anybody's got for questions? We've got the contest. Okay. So it was Birds and the Bees.
Birds and the Bees. 710
What?
entries.
Holy smokes. Okay. And are these,
There's numbers on the back.
Oh, that makes it easier. There you go. Okay. So Birds and the Bees, you go from there. God only knows what we got in. This is delightful. I've not seen that yet. I didn't get to go through them this week because I had puppies. Yeah. Yay, that's so cute. And that is
so sassy.
Joshua Clements from Austin, Texas. He is sassy. And I love this blue right in here. That's really nice. And there's almost like a little texture that kind of echoes those poles. Very cool. So, e-gift card going out to you, Joshua. Jimmy Irvin of Port St. Lucie, Florida. Pileated is spoonbill. It's not pileated.
What is it?
It's a spoonbill. It's a type of roseated. Yes, that was the thing that. Leave it to the Florida person to know. That's really nice. And those are hard. And they got the feet. Look, Will. Mm-hmm. There's the feet. So Jimmy Irvin, second place. Jersey gift card going out to you. This is stunning. I love it. This is Claire Remsburg of Boise, Idaho. And how beautiful is that? And you said that's gold leaf.
Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like.
Yes, it sure does.
It doesn't print as well, but.
Oh yeah, gold leaf never like reproduces like it is in person.
You just, yeah.
That is beautiful. So that was our Birds and the Bees contest. This next week's challenge, Under the Big Top. I'm hoping Emmy is exempt from that because she will go in and whoop up on everybody.
Yeah.
So Under the Big Top, I'm guessing anything circus.
Circus, acrobats, ropes, animals, clowns. I'm afraid of the clowns.
Oh, that's your thing, huh?
I'm not that freaked out by them, but.
So now we know what to do for Halloween. Well,
Yes.
note to self. All right. Well, we will come back and revisit these sculpture things in November for something kind of fun. And sculpture is really something that's freeing. You don't have to worry about color anymore. You almost don't even really have to worry about composition. I mean, unless you're doing something that's like I don't know, a wall hanging or, you know, or something like that. But it's just a very unique, different way to express yourself by taking away all that and learning something new. So I always encourage people to, it's amazing how many people take a sculpture class and are like, oh my gosh, I'm so good at that. So, all right, well, you guys take care. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to visit www.artofthecarolinas.com to learn more about our virtual AOC this year. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.